What we do here is go back.
We can draw the trend line somewhere like this, and this is perfectly fine. You can see we connected here this swing low and this swing low, although we did not take the absolute bottom of the wick, but we draw the trend line here around the lows and the closes, and then when we go forward we can see that price is respecting the trend line, and from here on we know that this trend line is valid. You can see after price touched the trend line, we consolidated a bit, we never broke really below it, and then we started this huge rally. And now when we extend the trend line a bit going forward, then we can see that price is respecting it again. We are not seeing a huge bounce this time, and this is very common. So whenever you use trend lines, you will see that, or not always, but usually and very often you see that when you have the two swing points, the third is always the strongest reaction, where you have the biggest impact on price after it touched the trend line, and the fourth is usually a very weak spot, because at this point everybody is aware of this trend line, and so it's harder to profit from it when everybody is trying to trade in the same direction. Nevertheless, it's important to have it on your charts, because the way you would use it now is preferably, because we can see this is some type like a head and shoulders, which is a market top and a reversal pattern. Here you can see we started to make lower lows now, and now what we will wait for is a break of this trend line. Then what you will often see is the retest, and once price retests it, this becomes a very safe short entry. Another way of, and another trend line we can draw is, you can see we have those swing highs here along the uptrend. So let's grab our trend line tool again, and we can connect this swing high and this swing high. But now what happens if we go forward? There is not a lot of respect. You can see price did not respect it here at all, we just blew through it. Here we went back to use it as support. This becomes a very weak trend line now, because we would at least need 3 touches to confirm the trend line, so this is not very ideal, and also going forward this is very meaningless and does not have a lot of predictive power. So let's try and connect the swing high here with this cluster here, and now you can see that when we go forward we have a much better explanatory value, which means that once we connect this high and this cluster here, which is a very similar pattern around here, then when we go forward we can see, when we zoom in a bit, that although the price did not respect it and did not bounce back, we definitely saw a reaction here. Price broke it, we came back to retested it and then shot higher. And even now we broke the trend line. We used the trend line as support very strongly and now broke it again. So in this case, this is very similar to what we said here. So if price would come back into the highs here and retest this trend line, then this would become a very interesting sell opportunity. And also if we use a little bit more of horizontal support and resistance, then we could see that once we draw this trend line here, we connect this to swing lows, we can see that here is a very interesting cluster level. And that's basically how you can use the trend line information to find bounces and to come up with a trend and trend shift ideas. We can analyze another pair. So this is the British pound US dollar. You can see price has been in this uptrend with lots of consolidations and large moves in between. But nevertheless, we can use our trend line knowledge to find some confluence and to make sense of this chart. So first of all, what we're going to do is we look for this swing low here, and then we look when we go higher. We could try and see if we connect those two swing lows. If we go forward, we don't get a third touch, although here is some kind of reaction, but it's not very meaningful. So this does not make any sense. If we connect those two swing lows, then when we go forward, we again see that there is not a lot of reaction. So this is not a very valid way to draw a trend line. Now here are some swing lows again. So we could grab our trend line and go forward. And now we can see that we don't go for the absolute lows here. We don't go for the bottom of the wick, but we look for the most confluence again, which is probably around here. And when we go forward, has been some reaction again. And now going forward, we would expect to see some type of reaction once price makes its way back here. And there are of course multiple other trend lines that we could draw. So for example, we could use this swing point and extend it, connect it with this swing point. And then when we go forward, we can see that price found some support here, not a whole lot of a reaction. But if we zoom in closely, we can see this very interesting pattern, which you will very often see is that first of all, when price moved into this trend line, we found some support, although price then broke the trend line very quickly. Now we came back into the trend line and tested it as resistance, and now we are selling off. And this is the pattern that we described and we looked into previously, where you have this trend line, then you break it, you come back to retested it, and then on the retest this becomes a very safe trade and a much safer trade than just trading based off pending orders, where you just stand in front of a level and hope that it will reverse. And obviously there are many more trend lines that we could draw. So first of all, for example, we could maybe connect those highs here. They stand out very nicely. And then here again, it's not a perfect touch. Here as well, lots of violations. And then here we have this rejection, which is very nice. And we could even extend this further. And then you will see that depending on how we draw, this is again a very nice retest and price respecting those trend lines. And you can often see that when a trend line first acts as resistance on the break, then it becomes support. It's very similar to what we can see when we use horizontal support and resistance. And this is basically how you can analyze any chart pattern. And as long as you see swing highs and swing lows and some type of trending behavior, you can always draw your trend lines. Then either you wait for the third touch and then try to trade the third touch, or you wait for the breakout and then you are going to trade the retest once price makes its way back to the trend line. And that's how you would, and that's the very basics of using trend lines, how you draw trend lines and how you use them for your own trading.